Hi, scholars. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. I'm happy to see you. I'm happy that you joined me today. Today, I am going to be reading a story called Jellies, The Life of Jellyfish. Um, the reason I chose this nonfiction story is because, as you know, if you have been paying attention to your teacher's class story, that we are jumping into our end of year fish projects, which are so exciting, and I cannot wait to see all of the amazing research and projects you come up with. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch cameras. So before reading, we're going to read some of the vocabulary words that we're going to be seeing in the text in context to a different sentence. Then we're going to go to the back here. To our glossary, and we're going to find that word's real definition in our glossary. All right, so our first word is millions. Read along with me at home. It looks like this shark has millions of teeth, but it really only has a few dozen. So it looks like millions of teeth. So then we go back to our glossary and we go to M, probably close to the beginning of the M section, and we find the word millions. A very large number, or more than 1,000 thousands. There are millions of fish in the sea. So a very large number, more than 1,000 thousands. Our next word, choices. Visitors at the aquarium have many choices of things to see. Choices. So let's go back to our glossary. You can tell someone next to you what you think the word choices means. I found choice right here. The act of choosing or the chance to choose. We had many choices about what we wanted to see in the city. The act of making a choice, or the act of choosing or deciding. Let's go to drift, this cute little guy up here. The word drift. This clever otter will not drift or float away. Drift. Let's look for the word drift. Tell your neighbor what you think it means before I find it. Drift, to float along or be carried along on water or air. Our raft will drift if we do not paddle. To float along or be carried away. Next word, weaker. One of these crab claws is weaker than the other. It is not very strong. Weaker. Going back to our glossary, which is usually at the end of a story or bottom of a text, all the way back to our W's where we find weaker. So if weak means having little or no power, strength, or energy, weaker means a form of being weak. So meaning less strength. She was weaker after being sick, but then she grew stronger. Disgusting is our next word. Yuck. The litter around the trash can smells disgusting. Disgusting. Let's look for that word in our glossary in the back of the book. We're going to go ahead and read disgust and disgusting because a disgusting says just a form of disgust. So we first need to know what disgust means. To cause a sick or bad feeling. So disgusting means it's forming a sick or bad feeling. When she sniffed at the garbage pail, it smelled disgusting, made her feel sick. Up top, the word simple. Oh, I'm going out of number order. Sorry about that. Simple. Dolphins make jumping out of the ocean look simple and easy. Let's go find simple. One more page. Simple. Easy or not complicated. The directions on the box looked simple, and she followed them carefully. Simple is not hard or not complicated. Wrapped. The octopus wrapped its strong tentacles around its prey. Ooh. Wrapped. Let's find wrapped in our glossary. Another one where we want to look at first the verb and then the past tense form of it. So we've got our verb wrap, to cover by winding or folding. So to cover by winding or folding. And then wrapped means a form of the word or the verb wrap. We wrapped our sandwiches in foil for the picnic. Or in this one, the octopus wrapping its prey. Everybody knows what prey means? Predator versus prey. Predator is the one eating the prey right here. Okay, the last word that we're going to discuss before we jump into our reading is the word decide. Is this a starfish or a crab? You decide. You zoom in close. You could decide that it's a starfish. Let's go back to our last word in our glossary and find decide. Decide, to make up one's mind. Tomorrow I will decide what to do about the party. Decide, to make one's mind up, right? Perfect. So now we know the vocabulary before we jump into our text. If you hear me say one of our vocabulary words that are also over here, if you hear me say millions, choice, drift, simple, weaker, wrapped, disgusting, or decide, go ahead and make a V while you hear me reading. All right, I think we're ready to dive into our story. All right, go ahead and tell someone next to you what you think the genre of this story or this text is going to be. Did you say nonfiction? You are correct. How did you know? Right, because they're real photographs, and it says the title here, Jellies, the Life of Jellyfish. So it's teaching us about real creatures of the sea. While we're reading the story Jellies, the Life of Jellyfish by Twig C. George, I want you to be very dedicated readers. When I say that, I mean I want you to be very knowledgeable when you're deciding if something is a fact or an opinion. As we read, I'm going to have some stopping points, and I'm going to ask you, raise your hand if you think this is a fact. Raise your hand if you think this is an opinion. While we go, you can check and see if you really have a good understanding of what's fact and what's opinion. Which one can be backed up with research of true evidence, and which one is somebody's opinion or somebody's own thoughts and ideas. All right, Jellies, the Life of Jellyfish. If you were a jellyfish, you would have two choices, to go up or to go down. That's it, two. You would not have a brain, so you could not decide what to have for breakfast or where to go for lunch. Wow. So this is a mangrove jellyfish. Some of you might choose to do a jellyfish for your fish projects. Did you know that jellyfish don't have brains? Hmm, very interesting. It says an unnamed jellyfish. It looks like a fish is about to swim right into those tentacles. The ocean currents would carry you along from place to place. In this way, you could travel hundreds of miles. Food might pass by you and get caught in your tentacles, or not. So this is still pretending like we're the jellyfish. And it's saying when you're on your way, the ocean current will carry you from place to place, so it just drifts you along. And sometimes little fish will get, which would be the food, would get caught in your tentacles, but sometimes they wouldn't. Stay away, little fishy. Wow, this one's really cool looking. Rhizostone jellyfish. That would be a cool choice, my friends, if you're thinking about what kind of fish you're gonna pick. If you haven't picked, this could be one. Rhizostone jellyfish. This is my book, so there's not a glare. Sea turtles, dolphins, and whale sharks would try to eat you. You wouldn't worry about it because you couldn't. You would just float on. So you can't worry because you don't have a brain. So that's interesting. Sea turtles, dolphins, and whale sharks try to eat these rhizostone jellyfish. Ooh, that's a pretty one. Comb jellyfish. Give it a moment. You would protect yourself with millions of tiny mechanical cells that, when touched by another animal, release a chemical sting, like a bow and arrow. You would not know if you were stinging a friend or an enemy. You would not even know what a friend or an enemy was because you don't have a brain if you're a jellyfish. So when it's talking about how these jellyfish have these stinging tentacles, it says with millions, I hope you're doing the V, millions of tiny mechanical cells that, when touched by another animal, release a chemical and a sting. Does this sound like a fact or an opinion? Raise your hand if you think it's a fact. Raise your hand if you think it's an opinion now. If you said it was a fact, you are correct. Give yourself a big pat on the back. It's a fact because it can be backed up with research. It's true. Undeniably true. Jellyfish sting for protection and to catch food. That's all. They don't hunt and they can't chase. They just bump and sting, bump and sting. So they're not hunters, but since they have those tentacles, it bumps into things that they can't really control and it stings them, right? Let's keep reading. Who's been stung by a jellyfish? One time I was in the ocean and a big wave came by and it was a whole bundle of jellyfish and I had jellyfish stings all over my body for weeks. And it hurt. All right. Little fish swim in and out of the dome of this moon jellyfish. Look how beautiful. Jellyfish sure are pretty. They hurt when they sting you, but they are pretty. And very interesting, right? Some jellyfish sting gently. Some jellyfish have a sting so powerful that they are more dangerous than a cobra. These are the Australian box jellies. More dangerous than a cobra. Looks pretty creepy. Australian box jellyfish. That would be a good choice for the fish project because it's pretty cool looking and scary. Thimble jellyfish are so simple that they look like plastic trash floating in the sea. When an animal eats a jellyfish, it stays healthy and strong. When an animal eats plastic, it gets weaker and weaker and eventually dies. So this is kind of going into why we need to keep our world clean, right? Just like how we talked about on Earth Day. Yeah, because trash in the ocean hurts animals, right? But they're saying that's kind of different from these because these are actually good for some animals, right? They keep them healthy and strong to eat. This one is called an upside down jellyfish. Wow, that looks really funky. Kind of looks like cauliflower. Upside down jellyfish. Some jellyfish lie on the shallow bottom in clear, warm seas and grow their own food. Wow, that's interesting. I'm going to read that again. Some jellyfish lie on the shallow bottom in clear, warm seas and grow their own food. These are called upside down jellyfish. Once they have eaten small bits of algae just once, they can grow more inside their bodies by sitting in the sun. They are their own greenhouses and grocery stores, all wrapped up into one. So, how do these upside down jellyfish make their own food? Hmm. Did anyone say that they are upside down collecting algae? And then once they've collected that algae, they can move and get into the sun. And then they can grow their own food like a greenhouse or one of those big glass houses with all the plants inside. They turn their bodies into one of those. Very interesting. Ooh. I think maybe some of you have seen these ones washed up on the beach. I think I've seen one of these. To be a jellyfish, you need to be shaped like a bell, with at least one mouth and tentacles. Many animals called jellyfish are really something else. The Portuguese man of war is not a real jellyfish. It has an air-filled bubble instead of water-filled bell, instead of a water-filled bell. Ah, so these Portuguese man of wars are not actual jellyfish. People just think they're jellyfish. I thought they were jellyfish. Wow, you really learn something new every day. I love moon jellyfish. They're so pretty. Jellyfish are almost all water and a little protein. They look slimy and disgusting when they wash up on the beach. Hmm. All right, which part of this sentence is a fact? Everybody point to it on your screen. Go ahead and point to it with your finger and touch the screen. Now, which part is an opinion? Reach up, touch it on the screen, underline it with your little finger. If you said jellyfish are almost all water and a little protein was the fact, give yourself a high five. If you said, for opinion, the sentence, they look slimy and disgusting when they wash up on the beach, you are correct because not everybody thinks that they look slimy and disgusting. I think they look kind of cool. So if you said that this is the opinion, give yourself a double high five. Awesome. Wow, this one's another beautiful one. Wow, jellyfish are so pretty. West Coast sea nettle. In the sea, jellyfish are beautiful. Another opinion. If you see an opinion, you can go ahead and make an O. There are jellyfish as big as basketballs with long red tentacles called West Coast sea nettles. Oicoplora labradorensis. Ooh, that is a tricky couple of words to say. So look at this jellyfish. There are tiny, let this adjust. Moment. There are tiny, elegant jellyfish that look like a blizzard of snowflakes. Kind of beautiful. Oh my goodness, speaking of beautiful, look at that one. Arctic lion's mane jellyfish. That would be a cool one to do your projects on. Arctic lion's mane jellyfish. It does kind of look like a big lion's mane. There are jellyfish that grow so big that they are as long as a blue whale. Wow, no idea. They are called Arctic lion's mane jellyfish. They pulse and drift, they eat and reproduce, they live and die, all without a brain or a heart. It's amazing. No brain, no heart. Oh, this one, you can actually see that they have a little fish caught in there. Amazing. So interesting that they can survive without a brain and a heart and still be able to trap food in their tentacles and survive. Wow. And find each other to reproduce. So interesting. Wow. Wow. Look how cool. A full sea of jellyfish. Golden mystigious jellyfish. Someday you might be very lucky and see an ocean full of jellyfish. And since you have a brain and a heart, you would know you were seeing something unforgettable. Awesome. All right, now is time to go ahead and do the questions and answers. So on page 306, the word drift means, so I'm always going to go back to the page, find the word. All right, they are called Arctic lion's mane jellyfish. They pulse and drift. They pulse and drift. They eat and reproduce. So I have to figure out, what does that word drift mean? Does it mean they pulse and they smile? I don't think so. Does it mean they pulse and they jump? I've never seen a jellyfish jump. Does it mean pulse and float? Ding, 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 ding. All right, what are two interesting facts that you learned about jellyfish? On this one, you could go ahead and jot down what are two facts that you learned about jellyfish from this read aloud. I can't wait to see your results. This could go ahead and count as your reading for the day. So if you want to fill out facts that you learned about this text using evidence by going back and rewatching, you may go ahead and write that response and send to your teachers. All right. How can the text on page 302 help you find out if the Portuguese man of war is a real jellyfish? Let me go back. To be a jellyfish, you need to be shaped like a bell, with at least one mouth and tentacles. Many animals called jellyfish are really something else. The Portuguese man of war is not a real jellyfish. It has an air-filled bubble instead of a water-filled bell. So we know that the answer to that question is, we can tell that the Portuguese man of war is not a real jellyfish because it has an air-filled bubble instead of a water-filled bell. And earlier we read that in order to be a jellyfish, you have to have be shaped like a bell with at least one mouth and tentacles. Perfect. Now We're on our retelling. Tell what life would be like if you were a jellyfish. This is another written response that I want you to write down and send in as your response to reading. If you choose to do this instead of the videos online today, that works for your reading presence. Awesome. Thank you so much for reading with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoy reading about sea creatures, which is why I'm so excited to read about you guys going creating your fish project. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness, so many sea creatures everywhere. All right, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm so glad you came to read with me today. Oh, let's freeze. Okay, time to celebrate and dance. Get up and dance. Move around your kitchen. Grab a dance partner. I have mine coming in and out. Ready? Just look at the world around you, right here on the ocean floor. Pretend it's Mama. Wonderful things around you. What more are you looking for? Under the sea, under the sea. Darling, it's better down where it's better. Take it from me. I'm on the shore, they work all day. Out in the sun, they slave away. While they dip in the water, Good job, everyone.